Welcome to Matt's Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier. Thank you as always for stopping by. I apologise for my absence. I was down the coast in Mombasa, which is my hometown, and a bit of a bittersweet experience. And I must say, quite emotional really. Dad and my grandfather had occupied an office there for 70 years. And, having to sort of tidy up Dad's affairs. He's not very well. It's pretty intense. And then, it felt like the embassy, the office had never been dusted all that time. People would come through the dust and say, this, and you promised me that. And of course, I looked at them all and thought, it's funny how people behave around a situation when they know somebody's very weak. So I've also got to give full marks to my Hannah, who's 10 and only got to swim once in the Indian Ocean. And that photograph that Nishat took, and it was a lovely swim. But here I am back again, and thanks for always watching this podcast. I'm deeply grateful. I'd like to thank His Excellency John Mahama, whom I met last night, late at night before his departure this morning, and he's such an elegant, courtly fellow, very intelligent, and a real outlier when it comes to democracy consolidation. And it was a real privilege to spend some quality time with him. I'd like to thank the Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Patrick Njoroge, for the time this morning over breakfast, a rather good one, I must admit, at the Serena, and a very, very fascinating conversation. Dr. Njoroge, of course, spent many years in Washington, so had some very strong and deep insights into what's happening there right now. Put up a photograph I took of him on the sidelines of the financial sector deepening lecture I attended by John Kay. He was being interviewed just outside the Lewis Leakey Auditorium. It's a photograph taken at night. Nairobi Serena, a beautiful garden. I was there this morning for breakfast, whose soundtrack of birdsong in the early morning is accentuated by the background noise of the city. That can be done. And I attended a control risks function last night, which was very interesting. They've got 5 major risks, and Donald Trump is number 1, which was interesting. This is a copy of their risk map. If you haven't had a chance to hear the presentation of John Mahama at Mindspeak, take a look. We also have a Q&A session there as well. And the quote that seems to have gone viral was, "Leave when the applause is the loudest." And I'm still thinking about that. It's quite a deep comment when you think about it. Macro thoughts, Goldman Sachs, of course, hits an all-time high. Big beneficiary of Trump. Very interesting that it was caught up in the linguistic warfare. You remember Hillary Clinton's connection with Goldman Sachs was flagged down by the likes of Trump. This is the implied Fed funds rate going forward. A lot of people beginning to price in a rate hike in March. March interest rate increase by the Fed is now suddenly on the table. As I said, nothing beats the Indian Ocean, and this was the Indian Ocean quite close to Dad's house in Mombasa on the north coast, which is not as beautiful as the south coast, but has its own character and personality. I've always wanted to go and have a meal at this place in LA called Wolf's Mouth, and these 2 tweets. One is the most incredible dining experience I've ever had, and secondly is the best food in LA, hands down. Hunter S. Thompson, we are living in dangerously weird times now. Chinua Achebe, there is no story that is not true. The South Korean TV report on the killing of Kim Jong-nam, and this is the president of North Korea's half-brother, assassinated by 2 female assassins, apparently. Who speaks for Donald Trump on foreign affairs? Is it Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, Vice President Mike Pence, or the President's Twitter account? This is hilarious, and I still think the best critique of the Trump administration is coming out of Saturday Night Live. and Alec Baldwin. And if you haven't seen his bit from Glengarry, Glen Ross, go and take a look. That's pretty good stuff as well. This is the people support is absolutely hilarious. Washington is looking a lot like Moscow in the 1990s with Trump playing Yeltsin. That's pretty harsh. Some of the most fundamental pillars of the West and the liberal international order are weakening, warned Wolfgang Ischinger, chair of the Munich Security Conference. Citizens of democracies believe less and less that their systems are able to deliver positive outcomes for them and increasingly favor national solutions and closed borders over globalism and openness. Ischinger also warned that liberal democracies have proven vulnerable to disinformation campaigns and post-truth international politics. And he thinks politicians should start by saying mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. International markets, MSCI All-Country World Index hit a record. World equities have gained about $6 trillion since Trump's election, equal to the combined GDP of Germany and the UK. That's Holger. New day, same song. Dow closes at fresh lifetime high. Holger again. Let's move on to the currency markets. Euro, dollar just above 106.02. Dollar index 100.90. Japanese yen 114.02. Swiss franc 10034. The pound 124.70. The Aussie 0.7713. Indian rupee 66.935. South Korean won 1141.67. The Rial 305.75. Egyptian pound 1650. Remember, on a spike we could have bought it in 1950, not too long ago. And the South African rand below 13, 12, 92, 62. And I'm glad I was bullish about the rand from the start of the year, thinking that all the bad news has been priced in. And what we're increasingly seeing, notwithstanding the chaotic scenes in the parliament, is the fight back against rogue policy making. And folks who think Zuma's got a carte blanche need to think again. Dollar index, I'll put up a chart that Rafi Kadian has posted, and we held 99.50 within a few ticks and improved again. A lot depends on the future path of US interest rates. Commodity markets, gold 1233.44. Remember, my trade of the year was to buy Bitcoin over gold. Crude oil, last trading at $53.41, $60, obviously, in my opinion, caps it all year. Sub-Saharan Africa, satellite TV is fueling Zimbabwe's cash shortage, says the central bank. Zimbabwe's central bank said it was illogical and undermining efforts to stem a cash shortage, that the country is spending more on satellite television subscriptions than on imports of the raw materials needed to produce cooking oil. Zimbabwe is facing its worst economic crisis since 2008, as a liquidity squeeze has left companies unable to pay foreign suppliers and workers in cash. The economy probably shrank 0.3% last year and is set to contract 2.5% this year, according to the IMF. Financial institutions used $207 million for the payment of satellite television subscriptions during the last 6 months of 2016. That's interesting detail, isn't it? Use of hard-earned foreign currency in this manner is not sustainable, the central bank said. Total foreign currency receipts fell 1.4% to $5.4 billion in 2016, while export proceeds shrank 13% to $2.96 billion, the bank said. Remittances from Zimbabweans living abroad slumped 18% to $1.57 billion. South Africa's watchdog seeks a penalty against banks for FX rigging. Interesting story there. South African all share up 3.62% this year. Dollar versus rand, as I told you, the rand is now below 13. It's had a very strong start to 2017. Egyptian pound 16.50. Ailing president abroad leaves Nigeria with sense of deja vu. A president has flown abroad to seek medical treatment and given no firm date for his return, Nigeria has been here before. Muhammadu Buhari, 74, travelled to the UK on January 19th for medical tests and was due back on February the 5th. He's yet to return and hasn't appeared or spoken in public for more than 3 weeks after asking lawmakers for medical leave. On Monday, he talked by phone with US President Donald Trump, giving cheer to his supporters that he's not as ill as widely speculated. Yet his absence is heightening concern about government paralysis at a time when the economy is in recession and the stock market is sliding. For many Nigerians, the situation recalls former President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua's time in office. Like Buhari, Yar'Adua was a northern Muslim with a southern Christian vice president in a country with often sharp sectarian divisions. Yar'Adua was flown in November 2009 to Saudi Arabia for treatment of a heart condition. It took about 3 months for the legislature to appoint then Vice President Goodluck Jonathan acting president, as Yar'Adua associates sought to cover up the severity of his condition. It was pretty surreal. Many people thought he was dead for a long time. Like Buhari, Yar'Adua was a northern Muslim with a southern Christian vice president in a country with often sharp sectarian divisions. Yar'Adua was flown in November 2009 to Saudi Arabia for treatment of a heart condition. It took about 3 months for the legislature to appoint then Vice President Goodluck Jonathan acting president. The experience of 2010 still hangs over Nigeria. Partly as a result of that, the government has undertaken all the efforts to do what wasn't done in 2010. Tale of two currencies, a devaluation sets apart Egypt and Nigeria. Back in early November, Egypt and Nigeria were in the same situation, crying out for dollars to revive their sinking economies and trying to curb rampant currency trading on the black market. Egypt's tactic was to ditch a currency peg, leaving its pound open to market forces. The move helped secure a $12 billion IMF fund loan for Africa's third biggest economy. This week, MD Christine Lagarde praised the government for restoring economic sanity. Egypt is still short of dollars, but the situation is changing, and investors are gradually returning. Nigeria, in contrast, isn't letting the naira trade at its market value, insisting that the only way to protect the poor from a 15-month surge in inflation. Traders argue it's left the currency overvalued and say they will avoid Nigerian local markets until it weakens. While the government managed to issue a $1 billion Eurobond last week, its first in almost 4 years, it is struggling to raise money from the likes of the World Bank, which first wants to see a more flexible exchange rate in place. The outcome, which is a naira devaluation, is predictable and predicted. The open question is timing. Nigerian all-share is down 6.49% this year. The Ghana Stock Exchange is up 7.07% this year. Foreign investment in Ethiopia slumps after business attacks. FDI to Ethiopia dropped by a fifth in the first half of the country's fiscal year after violent anti-government protests in which foreign-owned businesses were targeted. The country attracted $1.2 billion in the 6 months through the end of December, compared with $1.5 billion in the same period a year earlier. Fitza Marega, Commissioner of the Ethiopian Investment Commission, said in a phone interview Monday from the capital Addis Ababa. He said the government may miss its annual target of $3.5 billion, with $3.2 billion more likely to be attainable. The government is paying out damages to foreign and domestic companies deemed affected by the unrest. So far, $4.4 million has been allocated. It's holding up pretty well given the fact that Ethiopia is in a state of emergency as we speak, and it goes back to something I wrote in October 2016. Ethiopia's reputation shattered by political tensions, and I still think that the current political dispensation is ultimately unsustainable. You can't have a tiny minority of people ruling over a majority, all of whom is feeling so aggrieved at this point. I recall reading The Emperor by Richard Kapuscinski, and in that book, Kapuscinski recounts the tale of Lulu, Haile Selassie's lapdog that was allowed to piss on the shoes of dignitaries, and the courtier whose job for 10 years was to wipe those shoes clean with a satin cloth. The book also speaks to how the cushion bearer, the emperor, was very short and therefore had to be perched on cushions so as not to be beneath his subjects, became an all-powerful figure of the imperial court. Kapuscinski was subsequently trashed for his poetic license in his reportage, but I accept his mea culpa. You don't understand a thing. I'm not writing so the details add up. The point is the essence of the matter. Imperial buys a stake in a Kenyan pharmaceutical distributor. South African logistics group Imperial Holdings will buy a 70% stake in Kenyan pharmaceutical distributor Sergi Pharma for $35 million, in line with its African growth strategy, the company said on Wednesday. Sergi Pharma, which is headquartered in Nairobi, is a leading distributor of pharmaceutical, medical, surgical and allied supplies in Kenya, with an annual turnover of about $70 billion. No further details. Transactions, you would have noted, have picked up speed tremendously. Java, there have been plenty of a saddling. It's interesting that it's in an election year that we're seeing people move in the bullish side. The 11 listed Kenyan banks dropped an average of 14% in January. It was an absolute carnage on the stock exchange. Rate cap legislation has been a massive own goal in terms of stimulating growth, said Razia Khan. We can all agree with that. The near-term outlook for bank returns is not very positive at all. What's happening is draconian. It's unlikely there will be changes before the August elections. Cap was a highly politicized decision, said Robert Besseling. The bigger banks believe they will benefit from a flight to quality as the sector undergoes these fundamental changes. There is always concern that the smaller banks will face difficulties. Kenya shilling 103.65, very well behaved. Nairobi all share down 6.32% this year. Strong fight back in February. NSE 20 down 7.34%. Strong fight back in February. World's biggest tea exporter, that's Kenya, seeks to double sales to Russia. That's interesting. Orthodox, which is popular in Russia, Iran, and Western Europe, is a specialty product made from black tea that's processed by traditional methods of withering, rolling, and oxidization, while regular black tea is manufactured through machines that crush, tear, and curl the leaves. Good to be back. So thank you for stopping by.